It was supposed to be a night of celebration, but it turned into absolute chaos. Insider reports claim fists flew, chairs were tossed, and the cameras captured it all. Sources say Bambi and Rasheeda, two names already drenched in years of silence. Tension finally exploded into an all-out brawl during the Love and Hip Hop reunion taping. And the reason? Scrappy. It's the man caught in the middle of a scandal, so messy it could end careers. Leaked footage allegedly shows Bambi storming across the stage, screaming accusations that Rasheeda had literally backed into a corner. Producers tried to intervene, but it was too late. The damage was already done, and the internet hasn't even seen the half of it. What really triggered Bambi to snap so violently? What dark secrets about Scrappy and Rasheeda were exposed on set? And how will this scandal destroy friendships, marriages, and reputations forever? Stay right here, because the true story behind this shocking fight is far more twisted than anyone ever imagined. And you won't believe who Bambi blames next. From the outside, Bambi and Rasheeda always played it cool. Smiles for the cameras, a few supportive comments here and there, and the illusion that everything between them was perfectly civil. But behind the scenes, resentment had been brewing for years, and it was only a matter of time before it erupted, in a way that no one could ignore. It all started years ago when Scrappy, who was once deeply entangled with Bambi, began forming a suspiciously close friendship with Rasheeda. At first, it seemed harmless. Rasheeda had her own family, her own marriage, and a long-standing reputation as one of the most respected women on the show. But rumors spread quickly in their world, and whispers turned into full-blown accusations. Friends close to the situation hinted that Scrappy had started confiding in Rasheeda during some of the darkest times of his marriage with Bambi. Long, late-night phone calls, emotional meets where Scrappy allegedly poured his heart out about his failing relationship. In private circles, people started to say Rasheeda was giving more than just advice. Some claimed there were boundaries crossed, trust betrayed, and met feelings that went way beyond friendship. For a long time, Bambi stayed silent. Maybe she wanted to believe that the rumors were just that, rumors. Maybe she didn't want to admit that someone she considered an ally could betray her in such a brutal, personal way. But silence doesn't erase suspicion. It feeds it. And as months turned into years, Bambi's anger grew from a quiet suspicion into a volcanic rage just waiting for a reason to erupt. Meanwhile, Rasheeda faced her own battles. Her marriage to Kirk Frost had already been through hell and back, and her public image was barely hanging on after multiple scandals rocked their relationship. For Rasheeda, being dragged into another controversy was the last thing she needed. She tried to distance herself from the whispers, brushing them off in interviews, pretending everything was fine. But deep down, she knew Bambi's silence wasn't forgiveness. It was a ticking time bomb when the Love and Hip Hop reunion was announced. Producers knew there was tension between Bambi and Rasheeda. They planned to keep them seated apart, minimize their interactions, and steer conversations away from anything too personal. But drama has a way of finding its moment, especially when hidden truths are desperate to break free. Behind the scenes, whispers grew louder. Bambi had been venting to close friends, saying she had receipts that would shatter Rasheeda's clean image once and for all. Allegedly, there were private DMs between Scrappy and Rasheeda that were never meant to see the light of day. Intimate messages that didn't sound like just two friends talking. Screenshots that suggested something deeper, something dirty. And Bambi wasn't planning to stay silent any longer. Tensions were already thick when the reunion taping began. Bambi arrived on set with a fire in her eyes that everyone noticed. Rasheeda kept her distance, flashing tight smiles, acting unbothered. But even the other cast members could feel the electricity in the air. Something big was about to happen. Everyone could sense it. No one knew exactly when, but they knew once it started, there would be no stopping it. Adding gasoline to the fire, Scrappy himself had been suspiciously absent from Bambi's side in recent weeks. Speculation ran wild. Was Scrappy finally choosing sides? Was there more to his bond with Rasheeda than anyone was willing to admit? And most importantly, was Bambi about to expose everything in front of the world? Minutes before the cameras rolled, insiders claim Bambi was seen backstage pacing, phone in hand, whispering heatedly to a close friend. At one point, she allegedly said, loud enough for others to hear, "I'm tired of protecting people who stabbed me in the back." That was the moment everyone backstage knew this reunion would be unlike anything Love and Hip Hop had ever witnessed. There were too many years of buried betrayal, too many wounds that had never healed. And now, under the harsh lights of the reunion set, all those secrets, lies, and half-truths were about to explode in a way that no one could have prepared for. The stage was set. The cameras were rolling. And what happened next would shatter friendships, tear alliances apart, and send shockwaves through the entire industry. And it all started with one unexpected, furious confrontation that caught everyone off guard because when Bambi finally stood up and turned toward Rasheeda, the look in her eyes wasn't just anger. It was betrayal. It was heartbreak. And it was the unmistakable, chilling certainty that she had come ready for war. What she said next silenced the entire room and sparked a chain of chaos that no one could stop. And this was just the beginning. The reunion had barely started when it all fell apart. Producers opened with lighthearted questions, trying to ease the cast into a rhythm. Jokes were made, fake smiles were exchanged. But the energy between Bambi and Rasheeda was electric and dangerous, like a live wire sparking in a pool of gasoline. Every glance between them was charged, every word laced with something unspoken, something sharp and bitter. It didn't take long for the tension to snap. The moderator, sensing the unease, cautiously brought up Scrappy's name, asking about his current situation and how he was balancing co-parenting after his separation. From Bambi, it was supposed to be a routine update. But when the question hit the air, Bambi's entire demeanor shifted. Her body stiffened. Her eyes narrowed into icy slits. And the silence that followed was louder than any words could have been. Rasheeda, trying to keep things light, made a small comment. Something about how Scrappy seemed to be finding peace and focusing on his music. She probably thought she was helping. She probably thought she was being neutral. But to Bambi, it was the ultimate betrayal. The words had barely left Rasheeda's mouth when Bambi stood up from her seat, knocking her chair backward with a loud crash that silenced the entire set. Every camera turned. Every cast member froze. Security moved closer but didn't dare intervene yet. Bambi's voice cut through the tension like a blade. "How would you know how he's feeling, Rasheeda?" she said, voice trembling not with fear but with fury. "You've been real close to him lately, haven't you?" Gasps rippled through the room. Rasheeda's face flushed a deep red. For a moment, she tried to laugh it off, glancing at the producers as if to suggest this was a joke. But Bambi wasn't smiling, and no one else was either. "I'm tired of pretending," Bambi continued, her voice rising. "I'm tired of sitting back while you smile in my face and sneak behind my back." Murmurs erupted from the cast. Someone on the left side of the stage whispered, "Oh hell, here it goes." Phones came out. People started recording. Rasheeda tried to speak, but Bambi wasn't finished. She pulled out her phone and waved it in the air like a weapon. On the screen, she had screenshots, dozens of them, messages between Scrappy and Rasheeda that she claimed were more than enough proof of what had been going on behind closed doors. "You think you can hide forever?" Bambi shouted, stepping closer. "Tell them, Rasheeda. Tell them how you've been comforting my husband while telling me to stay strong." Producers jumped in, trying to de-escalate, but it was too late. The entire room was caught in the gravitational pull of the explosion. Rasheeda finally stood up, her face twisted in a mixture of anger and humiliation. "You're out of your damn mind," Rasheeda snapped. "I tried to be there for you. I tried to help you hold it together. And now you're gonna stand here and accuse me of this?" Bambi laughed bitterly, a sound that echoed around the set and made more than one person shift uncomfortably in their seats. "Help me," she said, voice dripping with venom. "You were helping yourself to my husband's heart while mine was breaking." The two women were nose-tunes now, neither backing down. Security moved in, sensing the inevitable. And then, without warning, Bambi shoved Rasheeda backward. Hard. Chaos erupted. Rasheeda stumbled into a camera rig. Cast members jumped up from their seats. Security rushed the stage. Bambi lunged again, screaming words that would never make it to the final edit. Words so raw and vicious they stunned even the most seasoned reality stars in the room. Producers were yelling to cut the feed. Crew members were trying to separate the women. But in that moment, all the years of hurt, betrayal, jealousy, and rage came spilling out in a violent storm that no one could contain. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get any worse, it did. One of the cast members, a close friend of Rasheeda's, stood up and shouted something that stopped everyone in their tracks. "Tell the truth, Rasheeda. You ain't innocent." Every head in the room turned. Rasheeda froze. Bambi's eyes widened in shock. The friend continued, her voice shaking with emotion. "You think nobody knows about you and Scrappy texting all night behind Bambi's back? You think nobody saw you sneaking out of that studio party with him last month?" A stunned silence fell over the set. Cameras kept rolling even as producers screamed to cut. Rasheeda's face crumpled for a brief second before she recovered, lifting her chin in defiance. But the damage was done. The seed of doubt had been planted in every mind in that room, and no amount of denial could erase it. Bambi's breathing was ragged, her chest heaving. Tears welled in her eyes, but didn't fall. She looked at Rasheeda one last time, her voice low and broken. "You were supposed to be my sister," she whispered. "And you betrayed me for him." Before anyone could respond, Bambi turned and stormed off the set, leaving behind a stunned, broken room. Rasheeda remained standing, fists clenched at her sides, her carefully crafted public image shattering around her like broken glass. But even as Bambi disappeared backstage, even as the reunion ground to a halt, one chilling thought hung in the air, unspoken but impossible to ignore. If Bambi had those screenshots, what else did she have? And worse, who else had been helping her collect them? Because the truth was, this wasn't just about Scrappy and Rasheeda. There were others involved. Messages, secrets, betrayals that went far deeper than anyone realized. And the real bombshell hadn't even been dropped yet. Someone backstage, someone no one expected, was about to reveal something that would make tonight's fight look like child's play. The real war was just beginning. The set was in shambles. Cast members huddled in corners, whispering frantically. Crew members scrambled to fix toppled cameras and broken lights. Security hovered around Rasheeda, who stood frozen in the middle of the chaos, blinking like she had just survived a hurricane. Backstage, Bambi was pacing like a caged animal, her phone still clutched in her hand. The anger on her face had curdled into something deeper, something colder. She wasn't done. Not even close. While producers desperately tried to convince her to calm down, Bambi was texting someone who had just sent her a file that would blow the last bit of Rasheeda's reputation into pieces. The first set of screenshots were damaging enough. Flirty messages between Rasheeda and Scrappy, late-night emotional rants, secret meetups disguised as studio sessions. But what Bambi had now was even worse. A voice note. A voice note of Rasheeda, late at night, whispering things that no married woman should be whispering to another woman's husband. It wasn't just emotional cheating anymore. It was betrayal carved into audio. Undeniable and poisonous, and Bambi was ready to use it. Meanwhile, on set, Rasheeda was trying to rebuild control. She turned to the remaining cast members, desperate to get anyone, on her side. She swore up and down that nothing inappropriate had happened. She claimed the messages were taken out of context, that the screenshots were fake, that Bambi was just bitter and looking for revenge. But the faces around her were skeptical. Too skeptical. Because deep down, everyone had seen the way Scrappy looked at Rasheeda during filming. The lingering glances, the inside jokes, the unexplained tension that everyone had pretended not to notice before Rasheeda could mount a full defense. One of the assistant producers rushed onto the stage, pale and shaking. Someone had leaked the screenshots. They were already online. Within minutes, Instagram, blogs, Twitter, Threads, and TikTok commentary videos exploded with the leaked DMs. Every messy, inappropriate message was out for the world to see. Fans were tearing apart every word, analyzing every emoji, every punctuation mark. Hunting for more dirt, the hashtag started trending almost instantly. Hashtag Rasheeda exposed. Hashtag Scrappy scandal. Hashtag Bambi vindicated. Worse still, fans began digging into old footage, rewatching episodes, pointing out moments where Rasheeda and Scrappy had exchanged lingering looks, had disappeared from scenes together, had seemed suspiciously close. Every old clip now looked like new evidence, and then came the real shocker. Someone anonymously sent a recording to a major gossip blog, and it was Rasheeda's voice in the voice note. Rasheeda was audibly drunk, giggling, whispering about how Scrappy deserved better and how she understood him better than anyone ever could. She ended the recording with a sentence that sent the internet into a frenzy. "If things were different, maybe it would be me and you." The clip spread like wildfire. Fans couldn't believe it. Comment sections filled with accusations, heartbreak, memes mocking Rasheeda's downfall. In a matter of hours, Rasheeda went from respected boss lady to homewrecker villain, and the worst part was, she had no idea who had leaked the recording. Backstage, Bambi wasn't celebrating. She wasn't smiling. The leak was part of her plan, yes, but it wasn't enough. She didn't just want Rasheeda exposed. She wanted her humiliated. She wanted her to feel the same betrayal, the same devastation that she had felt. And Bambi, still, had one last weapon she hadn't unleashed. Because the real twist wasn't just Rasheeda and Scrappy. There was someone else involved, another name, another betrayal, and Bambi was about to reveal it in front of the entire world. Producers tried to stop her. They begged her to cool down, to leave it alone, but Bambi wasn't listening. She stormed back onto the set without warning, microphone still clipped to her dress, voice slicing through the stunned silence like a razor. "You thought you could play me," she said, staring straight at Rasheeda. "You thought you could sneak around and I wouldn't find out. But you forgot one thing. I'm not the only one you betrayed." Confusion flickered across Rasheeda's face. She opened her mouth to argue, but Bambi cut her off. "Go ahead and tell them," Bambi said coldly. "Tell them about you and Kirk's little arrangement. Tell them how you used Scrappy to make your husband jealous, how you played all of us." The room went deadly quiet. Even the security guards froze. Because what? Bambi was accusing Rasheeda of wasn't just infidelity. It was manipulation at a whole new level. According to Bambi's claim, Rasheeda had deliberately gotten close to Scrappy to make Kirk jealous, to reignite her dying marriage, to stir up attention for her brand. And Scrappy, he was just a pawn. Disposable, emotional pawn. The cast members started murmuring among themselves. Faces turned away, old memories resurfaced. Old suspicions reignited, and for the first time all night. Rasheeda didn't have a response. She didn't deny it. She didn't speak at all. She just stared at Bambi, eyes wide with something that looked a lot like guilt. Before anyone could recover, another voice from the side of the stage called out, "I got receipts too." Everyone turned. Another cast member, a longtime friend of Bambi's, stood up holding her phone in the air. Claimed to have messages, video clips, and insider information that would prove Rasheeda's manipulation went back years. Producers screamed to cut the feed. Cast members jumped up. Security rushed in. But the damage was done. The truth, or at least the version of it that Bambi wanted the world to see, had been unleashed like a hurricane. And there was no stopping it now. But even with everything that had been revealed, the DMIs, the voice notes, the accusations, one chilling thought remained. There was still one more secret no one knew yet. Something bigger than a betrayal. Something that could destroy more than just friendships. And it was about to come out, because someone had been secretly recording behind the bay scenes. And that footage was about to surface. The real scandal hadn't even begun yet. Within minutes, the entire entertainment world was in flames. Gossip blogs couldn't post fast enough. Instagram feeds were flooded with blurry screenshots of Bambi storming the reunion stage, Rasheeda's frozen expression, and cast members caught in mid-reaction, mouths open, eyes wide with shock. Twitter threads multiplied by the second, with fans dissecting every detail like forensic investigators, piecing together a crime scene. Public opinion split down the middle almost instantly. One side, fiercely loyal to Bambi, praised her for standing up for herself, for exposing the fake friendships and hidden betrayals. The other side rushed to Rasheeda's defense, claiming the leaks were manipulated. The recordings taken out of context. The entire incident a setup fueled by jealousy and bitterness. But it wasn't just fans. Big name celebrities started weighing in. A major Atlanta rapper posted a cryptic tweet that sent everyone spiraling. Loyalty over everything. Some people out here playing both sides, real ones see through it. No names were mentioned, but everyone knew exactly who he was talking about. Within minutes, his tweet was trending. And fans were tagging Rasheeda and Scrappy nonstop. Another Love and Hip Hop alum went live on Instagram, shaking her head and sipping wine while her comments section exploded with questions about the reunion. She refused to say much but dropped one bombshell before ending the stream. "I told y'all years ago, these people ain't who they pretend to be." The shade wasn't subtle. Meanwhile, Scrappy tried to stay silent, but his name kept getting dragged deeper into the mess. Old interview clips resurfaced where he praised Rasheeda as one of the few people who truly understood him. Every word he ever said about her was now being twisted, scrutinized, turned into new evidence of betrayal. Fans unearthed old photos too. Group shots where Scrappy and Rasheeda stood just a little too close. Video clips where he laughed just a little too hard at her jokes. Every smile, every glance was now a piece of the puzzle. And the picture it painted wasn't flattering. News outlets outside of the reality TV world picked up the story. Major gossip websites ran front-page headlines about the reunion brawl. Think pieces popped up overnight, analyzing how reality television blurred the lines between friendship and betrayal. How fame fed into secret affairs. How no one could ever really be trusted. And then came the real backlash. Brands started quietly distancing themselves. A beauty company that had just signed a deal with Rasheeda pulled the collaboration without warning, citing a sudden change in brand direction. A fitness brand unfollowed her on Instagram. Rumors swirled that a major fashion line she had modeled for was considering severing ties. Rasheeda's image as the strong, loyal wife, the successful businesswoman who had survived scandal after scandal, was crumbling faster than anyone expected. And the public was ruthless. Memes flooded the internet. Images of Rasheeda with captions like "loyalty, never heard of it," and screenshots of Scrappy's most embarrassing lines from old episodes paired with clown emojis circulated everywhere. It wasn't just about entertainment anymore. It was a public takedown, a feeding frenzy, and no one was willing to throw her a lifeline. Meanwhile, Bambi's following skyrocketed. Her name was trending for days. Ms. flooded with messages of support, people calling her a warrior, a queen, someone who refused to be played and silenced. But not everyone was celebrating. Some insiders whispered that Bambi's scorched earth campaign might backfire, that exposing private conversations and weaponizing personal pain could make her look vindictive rather than victorious, that alliances she thought were solid could shift against her once the dust settled. Already, a few cast members were quietly unfollowing her on social media. Already, producers were having tense conversations about the reunion's unaired footage. about how much they could even legally show without lawsuits raining down. Because buried in all the chaos was a much bigger problem. Someone backstage had caught everything. The fight. The accusations, the private conversations when the cameras were supposed to be off. A rogue crew member had filmed the behind the scenes meltdown in secret and was shopping the footage to the highest bidder. And what was on that tape made the public drama look like child's play. Betrayals deeper than anyone had guessed. Secrets about other cast members, confessions that would destroy more relationships than just Bambi, Scrappy, and Rasheeda's. The footage hadn't been released yet, but whispers about it were already leaking into fan forums and industry circles. Everyone knew it was only a matter of time. The reunion scandal was no longer just a story. It was a wildfire, burning out of control, consuming everything in its path, and the next explosion was going to be bigger, uglier, and even harder to survive, because if the secret footage ever saw the light of day, careers would end, marriages would crumble, and friendships that seemed unbreakable would shatter beyond repair. The world was watching, waiting, and no one, not even Bambi, was ready for what was about to happen next. While the world tore itself apart debating who was right and who was wrong, something even darker was brewing behind the scenes. Bambi thought she had one. For a moment, she stood tall in the wreckage, believing she had exposed Rasheeda's betrayal and reclaimed her power. But what she didn't know was that the real betrayal hadn't even touched the surface yet. Late that night, a shadowy Instagram account with no followers and no profile picture posted a cryptic video. The caption was chilling in its simplicity. If you thought that was bad, wait until you see what they said when the cameras weren't rolling. The video was short, blurry, audio barely clear enough to make out. But it was enough to shatter the little bit of trust left between everyone involved. The footage showed Bambi, offstage, backstage, laughing with a few of her so-called friends. Laughing about how easy it was to get the audience on her side. How she had been planning to take Rasheeda down for months. How the voice note wasn't just leaked accidentally, but deliberately edited to make Rasheeda sound worse than she really was. It was a setup. The betrayal Bambi suffered was real. But the trap she set was even more vicious than anyone imagined. And now it was all unraveling. Within minutes, the video spread like a virus. Fans who had worshipped Bambi just hours before now turned on her with the same ferocity they once used against Rasheeda. Comment sections flooded with accusations. She's just as fake. So it was all for clout. So she was never the victim. Even Bambi's closest allies started backing away. The sympathy she had built, the moral high ground she stood on, crumbled under her feet. Rasheeda's camp wasted no time. A lawyer's letter was drafted and sent to production. Allegations of defamation, character assassination, intentional infliction of emotional distress. Rasheeda wasn't just fighting back on social media now. She was preparing to take it to court, and Scrappy disappeared, deleted his Instagram, turned off his phone, went completely silent while the world burned around him. The chaos had swallowed everyone whole. And just when it seemed like there was no more room for another betrayal, another twist, another bombshell, ... It happened. Another anonymous source came forward. Someone from inside the production team, someone with access to footage that hadn't aired yet, someone who knew secrets that no blog, no fan page, no cast member had ever dared to speak out loud. This source claimed that the fight between Bambi and Rasheeda wasn't even the biggest scandal filmed during the reunion taping. There was something else, something worse. Something that would not only destroy Bambi and Rasheeda's reputations, but drag Scrappy, Kirk, and several other cast members into a web of scandal so toxic it could kill the entire franchise. Private conversations caught on hot mics, hidden. Alliances revealed. Affairs that no one saw coming. Money changing hands to keep certain Secrets buried, and it wasn't just gossip. It was all caught on tape proof. Names, dates, faces. The anonymous source promised to leak it all. Every last devastating detail. Not for money, not for fame, but for revenge. Because according to them, everyone on that set was guilty of something. And no one would walk away clean. The posts started appearing piece by piece. A voice recording here, a screenshot there. Enough to make the cast panic. Enough to make producers scramble to bury what they could before the dam broke completely. But it was too late. The truth was coming. And this time, it wouldn't be a battle. Between Bambi and Rasheeda, it would be a war that swallowed everyone whole. The only question left was, who would survive it? And who would be exposed next? The drama we just witnessed is only the beginning. Secrets are unraveling faster than anyone can control. And the next wave of exposure could end careers, friendships, and marriages for good. What started as a fight between Bambi and Rasheeda has now spiraled into something bigger, darker, and far more dangerous than anyone imagined. But now, we want to hear from you. Do you believe Bambi went too far exposing Rasheeda? Or was Rasheeda's betrayal so deep that she deserved everything that came her way? Is Bambi still the victim? Or did she cross a line she can never come back from? And what about Scrappy? Is he guilty of playing both sides? Or just caught in the middle of a war he helped create? Drop your thoughts in the comments because this story is far from over. We're diving even deeper into the chaos that's about to erupt. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications, because what's coming next is going to shake love and hip-hop to its core. You think this reunion was wild? Wait until you see who gets exposed next. The footage is out there, and when it drops, no one will be safe. Stay tuned. Stay tuned.